Hi there, this is Dennis Velco with OutBüro. You're listening to OutBüro Voices, where we have engaging conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders from around the world. And boy, our guest today, Matt Skallerud, ticks the box in everything there. So, Matt, I know we've gotten to know each other over quite some time, and you have a very long history, but this is a global audience. And even though you seem to be almost everywhere, I'm sure there's some people out there who've never heard of you or don't quite know your history. Could you give us a little bit of background on you?
Yeah, no, I'll be brief. But I'm a geeky engineer who got bored and went into the world of sales and marketing way back before the internet. And so I loved computers and technology and kind of grew up with it, and then learned how to talk about it to potential clients. And the internet came along, started playing around, and next thing you know, we created a website, Gay Wired, and we just thought it was going to be kind of a fun hobby. But we were comfortable with the technology, and then we were comfortable going out and telling people about it. And it was that combination that allowed kind of everything to grow. And then we started working with Genre Magazine and Blue Dolphin Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. And next thing you know, it turned into a real business. And quit my full-time job, did this, and grew it and sold it. So, it was around 2006 we sold to Hear Media. They're the ones who bought Advocate, Out, and so forth. But at that time, it had grown up into like a full portal where it was content and message boards and membership and all the things that now you find through social media, but of course tied in with an entire website idea. And so it was all of that allowed us to then start Pink Media in 2008, where it was like we were focused on much more just helping clients figure out, how do I reach my target LGBTQ demographic online? But because we were no longer constrained to our own websites, we got to work with a variety of different websites to try to help place the ads. And then email campaigns were growing. And of course, social media grew up along the way. So if you fast forward to where we're at today, we help clients target that audience, but through a wide variety of mobile apps and video, and of course, targeting on social media. That's what we're up to.
Got you. But I think we need to roll back just a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, Gay Wired was really the first gay kind of platform. Gay social media, especially where interaction was happening, correct?
It was, because we started in May 95. So we started, and I always remember those dates because at the time we really thought we were crazy and just having a little fun, but not really thinking it's going to go anywhere. But the .com world was kind of continuing to grow, and then Planet Out launched in September of 95. I remember we were in Austin, Texas, meeting with, at the time it was Gay Web Source, one of the very first gay retailers online. So we're meeting with them, trying to figure out how to start working together in this new environment. And Planet Out has this big splashy launch, and we're like, holy cow. Once that happens, you realize there's actually a market developing here. And we're like, I think we're onto something. And then it was about 2 years later, gay.com came along with their chat. And so the history has kind of grown where we all sort of grew up together along that timeline, but we were always kind of developing things. The only thing I would just say is that we were developing things without a real roadmap in place. So we didn't really have, it's not like a few years later where you saw what Amazon was doing or others, and you could kind of duplicate some of that and make a gay version of it. So we were creating profiles, and we were creating ways for people to meet up through, believe it or not, ICQ. And if you remember ICQ and the cute little sounds that came with it, of course, that was a blip on the radar, and that moved along. It got bought by AOL, and then, but that was at the time one of the key ways that people can communicate, and we try to help facilitate how they could find each other if they were gay. And I say gay because at that time we had a hard time attracting women to the site, so we created a second site that started as Lesbian Nation, and then ultimately became She Wired. So we had Gay Wired and She Wired and a variety of other sites. But you're right, there were all these portals, and we were able to keep people on the site for 30 to 45 minutes, just hanging out and chatting and reading and meeting each other.
That's a really long time, 30 minutes,
It doesn't exist anymore.
No, for those who aren't aware, who aren't in the internet business, I mean, if you keep someone on your site for 3 minutes, that's considered really good.
It is, yeah.
So having a site where people are engaged and engaging, and of course having that repeat person coming back, multiple times, preferably, daily, spending that, 3 to 15 minutes a day, kind of checking in, seeing what's new. That's kind of the golden grail, of today. And 15 minutes is like super long
Yeah.
today, especially when they're just checking posts or checking in, saying, "Oh, who liked my post?" or something like that. So you guys were truly on the cutting edge. And as I was talking with some of the other folks recently, like Scott over at SBI, marketing, and Todd Evans, of course, he's more on the advertising side. But in all of those conversations, it those two are some folks who've been doing things for a long time. And the internet really has been built really on the activity of the gay internet user. It just seems that in all of my conversations, and maybe and you, I'm sure, will be able to talk a little bit more about that, is that it at least early on, and I'm not sure now, maybe you'd have other opinions now, but it's like the LGBT person seems to be a much more active and longer engaged user than other folks. Do you find that true then, true now, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I don't know if we really varied that much on being more engaged than others. It's just the one thing that we did have that was a growth advantage in that sense, and that's why gay.com did so well, is that prior to all this, the most popular place for gay people to be was the AOL chat rooms. So the AOL M for M in various cities. So it was always that seeking of a connection, of being able to not just read things online, but actually connect with people online. That, I would say, the LGBT community was kind of ahead of others because there weren't a lot of options. You either went to a bar, you lived first you had to live in a city that had a bar. You'd go to a bar, or there was maybe a few bars for you to choose from. But that was the only way for you to meet someone new before the apps and all the things that we have available today. So all of that, I think, kind of brought together and created a very strong LGBTQ presence and community online before other communities were kind of developing, because maybe they had more opportunities in the real world back then.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes total sense. I appreciate your analysis of that, your perspective. How about that?
Yes.
So, geez, you have been involved in so many other things, though, coming through. I know, at least I recall, you being involved in a business expo. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, in fact, there's the parts of that are still going on. And so community marketing, Tom Roth out of San Francisco, he is producing the LGBTQ marketing and advertising symposium in 3 weeks this month. But the point is, he was one of our partners, and we used to just kind of team up years ago to create a one-day conference that was really focused on marketing, advertising, events, and just all those aspects of how a company can get the word out. But we would, it wasn't just all about us. We would bring in a variety of different speakers and agencies and event producers and so forth to allow them to talk to an audience that at the time was probably like 150 to 200 individuals that were just there to learn about this. And that was small business all the way up to corporate, MasterCard and so forth. Viacom was there. But they were all there because they wanted to not only learn kind of the latest, but they wanted to meet the folks that were there. And but it kind of grew and grew. More people wanted to speak, more people wanted to attend, and there's only so much you could do in New York in a single day. So we expanded it out to a week, and that's what became LGBT Week. And we did that for a few years. The goal of that was to really bring on other partners so that were also trying to produce conferences and so forth, and try to bring them all into that same week. That part didn't come together as much as we had hoped. But so especially with COVID and so forth, we've kind of wound that down. But Tom is still doing the one-day conference, and we're very much a part of that, where it's just now it's going to be virtual. But it's the idea of speaking about advertising and marketing, because a lot of the other conferences, Out and Equal, NGLCC, and so forth, they touch on it, but it's oftentimes not really a core part of what they do. So we decided to try to create something that put marketing and PR and social media a little bit more at the center of the conversations.
Awesome. And yeah, I could see where those other organizations, it's not their core focus.
Yeah.
So very interesting. And I love that those summits and those expos and so forth are talking about the marketing, because, you know, it's one of those things you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of what type of business you have. If you want more customers, if you want the word out, you have to do it. And, you know, there's not, I guess it really also why I'm focusing on these kind of conversations, because in my opinion, you know, there's just not enough content geared specifically toward the LGBT business owner and the companies trying to reach the LGBT B2B or B2C target audiences.
Yeah.
So you have been at the forefront of helping to enable that and create those dialogues here in the U.S. And I just, out of curiosity, I don't know, is it always kind of U.S. focused, just out of, you know, I've never asked this question of you. Do you also do or partner with similar organizations in Europe or Australia, for example?
A little bit. The work we do internationally is more like destinations, and we've had clients that are from all over the world. The events we were producing were actually almost always in New York. And then we actually had people fly in. On the last event we were doing just before everything shut down, we had this, it was for pop-up, which was kind of, again, another way of bringing marketing and advertising people together. And we had a great sign-up registration, but a lot of people were actually coming in from London and so forth. So we were really excited about the idea that we could actually start creating something that did have that true international presence, that they were willing and able to fly across the pond to come and attend that event. So we're taking that and we're going to see where that all goes.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, in the future, we might need to chat about one of the destinations for one of your events being Fort Lauderdale.
Everything's
I think some
at
gay
Fort
guys.
Lauderdale.
I think some gay guys would be interested in coming to Fort Lauderdale.
It's like everything in Fort Lauderdale's been like, they've had IGLTA and GLCC, and like they're on rotation where they're going there quite often. But you're right. It's because Fort Lauderdale with Richard Gray has really grown up as well. Where years ago it was just a few resorts there in that one little small area of Fort Lauderdale and a few bars, and now look at it. It's like it's gay central for that part of the country.
Yeah, it's neck and neck with San Francisco, so they say. And I've certainly enjoyed it. I'm born and raised in Central Florida.
Oh, okay.
And but I've lived all over. I've lived most of my life outside of Florida than I have actually in it. But I come from a town called Lakeland between Tampa and Orlando.
Yeah.
And actually right now I'm visiting my sister for an extended period. And you know, I'm single. So we'll just say no. We'll just say that. We'll just say no. Everyone just seems to move away. So they move to Orlando or Tampa.
Did you know, and I might be off on this, but I think I'm correct. Do you know Steve Smith out of Key West, who I always called him affectionately Mr. Gay Key West, but he used to work for the tourism bureau there, and he was always out on the road representing Key West for the LGBT market. Anyway, I believe he's actually also from Lakeland.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you know what? I don't think I've met that person. I'll have to write that one down. Maybe if he's available, do an interview. So cool. So tell us a little bit about you know, I know probably by the time this comes out, your upcoming virtual summit might have passed. But hopefully that will become a, you know, regular, whether in virtual or in person in the future. Share a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah. Well, for us, what we're looking at, there's two things. Number one, the virtual summit or symposium, community marketing is handling all that now, and so we're just supporting, and we're going to be speaking there and doing a virtual presentation. But that one there is happening in November. I think it's like the third week. But what we're really, what we're doing more so, and what will be a part of that, but kind of has a life of its own, is that we're actually producing a lot more. We're producing, I want to say presentations, but at the level of kind of what you're doing with this show, where we're not just taking a Zoom call and throwing it out there and saying, here's our presentation. We're trying to actually put some production quality into it so that people can actually listen and learn about, in our case, it's usually like the latest in LGBT marketing and advertising. But there's a few conferences that have, more than a few now, that have taken that content, they fell in love with it, and now they're using it in their conference. We kind of customize it. And they've asked us to create more. So they've asked us to create things like an LGBT travel panel. So we take these influencers, bring them in, record them doing answering a series of questions, and then we're editing that together. So then it's more of a travel panel. Back in the day when you would have 4 individuals up on stage, but now we're turning that into a virtual conference piece that has a production quality, again, that's not just 4 talking heads on Zoom just trying to all get together. Because I think people are kind of over that and they're bored with it. It's not that engaging. So our future is that. Our future is producing these 4, not only the community marketing virtual symposium they're doing, but for other conferences, customizing as needed. And I'll leave you with the thought that I think in about 2 or 3 years from now, we're all going to look back and realize that was also this COVID pivot that a lot of, and pivot's not the right word, but this shift that we've done. When I could produce a conference piece, a presentation, and have anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people watch that is, in the future, I'm going to be comparing that to when a conference says, oh, do you want to present? And you get 50 people in a workshop. So do I want to struggle and fly somewhere and get excited about presenting to 50? Or have I learned that now I can reach 500 to 5,000 more efficiently and convert that to real business quicker along the way too? So it doesn't mean that events and all that are going to go away, but I think that there's going to be a different way for us to evaluate and look at what we do in the future.
I could not agree more. And, when you hit the nail on the head right there, because one, you can then have it available for free where it's evergreen content and people just come across it as they're searching for that content. And then you're putting out value that possibly leads them down the path of requesting a proposal or something, but you're putting out, good content ahead, value. Or it could also, and then a portion of it could be that freemium value that leads to a, well, if you really like these great tips, sign up here for the full length course. So it's, whether that comes, so this could be a total virtual course that could be global 365 days a year, 24/7, versus that one-off, like you said, 50 people in the room and all the stress of travel. And I used to be a road warrior. Some people would used to go, oh my gosh, you're in Paris all the time, or you're flying here and you're flying there. I'm like, do you know how after traveling for 80% of my life for 13 and a half years, no. I don't want to travel. It better be very, very profitable for me to get on a plane for anybody. I will travel for fun, but business, it better be very worth my time financially, or I'm not doing it. So I totally can see why and how this is a great model. And I'll also share with you one of the things that I've really enjoyed is over the course of this 2020, for those listening to this later, as we just said, is the difference. Last year I was having really great telephone calls with people from my group on LinkedIn. I mean, just one video that's about to come out, or in and around this, Stan Kimmer he's with the National Diversity Council. He and I, about a year ago, had a wonderful conversation. But what I find with this and the video format is, it is like we're just sitting right in the room together, pretty much. Yeah. You're in Pennsylvania. I'm currently sitting in Central Florida. But we're able to actually interact. And I think it brings a new level to the conversations. Now, the next step will be to have that holograph. Whoa. And of
But
course,
then when you do
what the
that,
gays will do with that.
when you do that, you can't do these Zoom calls in your underwear anymore because the whole thing is going to be on screen. So we'll have to rethink how we approach that.
Oh my God, did the camera dip down? Well, speaking of folks in the past, we didn't say this early on. So for those of you who have stayed on with this conversation this long, Matt, you and we've not known each other well, but every time we do get on the phone, I always enjoy our conversations, but we've known each other for a while.
Yeah. In fact, I was earlier this morning trying to figure out exactly when that was, because I remember where it was. It was in my backyard. It was a nice day. I believe we were in shorts, just sitting out having coffee in the morning. And
well, it was LA.
it was in LA. It was very pleasant, and I remembered all that, but I don't remember exactly when. I'm guessing it was probably like 2008, 2009, somewhere around then.
Yeah, I mean, it was late 2008, early 2009. I had started the group on LinkedIn in April 2008. And you were one of the first few, in that first 800 people to join the group. And you reached out to me and you said, hey, I see you're in Long Beach. I'm in LA. Let's get together and talk about this, LinkedIn group. I think you might have something here. And, so I came up, met you in your house, and we sat outside. And, that was all new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and again, I was traveling so much that the starting the group on LinkedIn at that time and up until just, about 2 years ago, it wasn't OutBüro. It was just a group on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I specifically recall when I left your place, one, I was, appreciated it. Slightly flattered that you thought that there was something there, but I just met you. I really didn't know much about you, and I recall whenever I was going back and I was telling my now ex at Mark, I was like, yeah, I met this guy Matt, and he's like, blah 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 on my LinkedIn group, and we should partner, we should do this and this and this and this, and I'm like, I think he was maybe a little nuts.
You don't know how much that warms my heart.
It's just because, I was, and it took me a while, even again, because I had my other career.
Yeah.
And to me, the LinkedIn group for so many years was just really a way, because when you do travel that much and relocate often for major clients, you feel a bit of a disconnect, and people treat you with, you're either, if like going somewhere, I might have a 6-month or 8-month or year-long contract. And then at that time, I'd try to go out to the bars, meet people just for, like to get to know people. And boy, they discount you. It's like, do you live here? No. Okay. You're either a hookup or why am I wasting my time with you? It's just reality. And so, so it was just really a way for me to try to have a sense of community and a sense of consistency, being on the road so much. And, but, after that divorce and remodeling a house for a year, and then kind of, meditating every day for 3 months going, okay, what the heck am I going to do with my life? And boy, I really should try to do something now with this group, because it is, 46,500 people. But 2 years ago, it was about 44,500. But, I really need to do something with this thing, or my ex is right. I'm crazy for spending so much time on this. Because you currently manage, lots of Twitter accounts and other social media venues. And, it is a dedication. It's time, to nurture it and make sure it doesn't turn into a spam fest, by people like literally just the other day, I had to boot out some people, that joined the group, and then just immediately started posting some what I call just spammy marketing stuff. You know, it's what's it called? Affiliate marketing things that they have no interest in the group. They're
Yeah,
just there to try to get a few clicks, you know?
yeah, yeah. I do know. It's like they forgot the old. I have a lot of little isms in my head, and I just, but you know, a lot of times people treat social media or this computer that's in front of them, or even the phone, but they're treating it as if there's not a human being on the other side. But you
Hmm.
know, back in the day, you'd meet somebody at a networking event. You know, there's always that one guy that might say, "Hi, this is me, and what do you do?" And then they start wanting to pitch you on their service of selling your house or building a website. And you're like, but you haven't even got to know me, and you have no idea if I'm in the market for a house or I want a website. But they don't care because they're just blurting that out. But it was always very minor, and they were always looked at as like the weird guy. And
Yeah.
in today's day and age, those weird guys found a new venue where they don't get maybe they don't get publicly ridiculed enough, and they just they connect with you on LinkedIn especially, and bam, they send you all this stuff, and you're like, but you haven't even gotten to know me yet. And of course, I'm getting better at it to figure out when people have fake LinkedIn profiles. And then they have a fake LinkedIn profile. It all pretty much says the same thing, apps and web development and this and that, SEO. And you're like, I don't even think that's real. And you just sort of have to it makes you a little more cynical about the approach that people have, because they forgot that there's a human being on the other side. They think it's just a numbers game. The more I throw out there, the more money I'm going to make.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It is annoying.
Yeah.
It is so annoying. I get that all the time. And then, you know, you also get the interesting profiles that'll, you know, yeah, you know, I'll admit, I'll admit sometimes, you know, I look at every single profile that joins my
Mhm.
group,
Mhm.
every single one. And, you know, yes, I'll admit, if like even here when I'm visiting my sister, I go, oh my God, Lisa, look at this guy. Boy, that's my type. If he were here, I'd be like asking him for coffee, you know,
Yeah.
but, but I don't reach out, and I
Yeah.
don't say that. I don't put that in a message to them. I don't, you know, so it's really interesting too, you know, seeing kind of the evolution of LinkedIn and where it's going. I mean, now even Gary Vee is constantly touting LinkedIn,
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, honey, I have been there since 2006. You're just getting on board.
Yeah.
But which makes me feel great. You know what? Whenever, because now of the group, and it's very difficult to build a group on LinkedIn, and so I love Gary Vee,
Yeah.
and so and for those who don't know, googling or YouTubing, he's great, good content. If you can handle like me, sailor mouth, you know, you're good. But you getting those profiles, and you know they're either pitchy, spammy, you
Yeah.
know, the web and SEO, or do you need development, you know, sport. And then every now and then I get these weird, even from guy profiles, that I know it's probably some Chinese woman sitting in some sweatshop, but with a guy image, and they're like, hi, how are you? And I'll first out, because especially
Yeah.
if they look like they're in my group, and then they'll start going down this inappropriate LinkedIn dialogue, and I'm like, oh no, boom, and delete and block from group.
I know.
Because, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, I also want to, you know, whenever that happens to me, honey, you didn't see who's the owner administrator of this group, and you're doing me that way. You're obviously doing the rest of my group members that way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I block your ass. Boom. Oh, it's so, and I know you've, like I said, you've had to have dealt with that.
Well, LinkedIn's got a lot going on. It's powerful because it's you know, I do have a extra geeky side. That's what I was saying. The engineer pops up once in a while, but the geeky side pops into LinkedIn. LinkedIn's so powerful because you can actually follow 30,000 people. But the deal is that, as we know, you're only connected or following them if if they're connected and following you back. Two-way
Mhm.
street, just like Facebook. So Facebook is very powerful for friends, family, a few colleagues, and so forth. But LinkedIn has become very powerful because it is more engaged. It's not just it's not more like some of the other social media where you can follow like a business page on Facebook. The reason they're not as engaging, or you don't get as much people and as many people seeing what's going on, is because it's a one-way street. People follow you, but you're not expected to really pay any attention and follow back. But LinkedIn, you do, and that's the key. It's 30,000 people ultimately that will actually be engaged with you, follow your content, like it, comment, share, and they expect you to do the same. And but if you do it in an honest, genuine way, that's where the magic happens. Is in that kind of like that again, adding the human element to social media.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I experiment all the time. I'm sure you do as well. And, I have actually found personally, if I post infrequently true content, now, hey, you're in my group. I'm trying to make some money here. I need a vacation like no one on this earth, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, it is a for-profit business, and it's growing. So yes, I post about OutBüro. You're in the group. It's on the banner at the top. You know what you're in. But I have found when I now post less frequently general content, the higher engagement. Of course, because also I'm very selective of what I post.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lesson for people too, is it's about, and I strive, I try my best to not just be, look at OutBüro, look at OutBüro, look at OutBüro, look at OutBüro. Yes, I try to be more informational because it is a new site. And it has a lot of features, and yes, it's starting to get traction. Hooray. But so it's more kind of informational when I do post about OutBüro, but then those other posts. But, geez, way back when, I was the only one, 12 and a half years ago. I was paying LinkedIn for a premium level membership so that I could search profiles for, if you're the director of an LGBT center, I invited you to the group. And then it was me just doing all the posting. Then there became this tipping point where I was no longer having to invite people to the group. People were finding it, and other people were starting to engage and post. And it's so awesome. It's so awesome now. I mean, my ex used to call me crazy because I used to literally spend between 4 to 6 hours a day curating news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm seriously right now. I check it in the morning over coffee for like 10 minutes, and then once more at the evening. That's like I probably spend no more than 20 to 30 minutes a day on just managing the group now because it has people engaged. So thank you everyone. Now just come over to outbureau.com. So, well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, Matt?
Yeah, no, I enjoy, as you can tell, I'm enjoying the work that we've been doing over the years, but also, lemonade out of lemons is that this year has been very interesting for everyone. And so we're testing out, and we're enjoying the idea of just trying new things in this kind of new virtual space to see, how we can continue the conversations, be a part of. I was telling somebody else just yesterday, because we spend so much time on Twitter. Twitter's the most humbling of them all because you realize there's millions and millions of people that are speaking the exact same language. So you're not that special, as opposed to Instagram, where it's all about, look at me, I'm a celebrity if you're going to be successful. So we're spending all this time on Twitter, where it's humbling, but at the same time it's energizing because you realize that it's like voting. Your vote is small, one person out of millions, but at the same time you realize that you do have that one little small person has an impact. And I think that this year has taught us, especially as we're shifting from a lot of real world things into virtual, that our one voice does have an impact. What you're doing here and what so when we're doing that and we're learning and we're growing, it's very exciting to see where 2021 is going to take us in terms of where a lot of this stuff is going to end up, because eventually it's going to kind of mature and we're going to have kind of some new ways of doing things until the next few things come along in the years to come. So I'm excited by that, and I'm glad to see that you're a part of that, and others that we like and respect and enjoy working with. So it's going to be fun.
I think so too. And what is so great is, one, being an entrepreneur, If you
Yeah.
aren't constantly learning and adapting, you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
Your business is going to die. But then two, because of the fields, that we're in, um, I thrive on change. And every single day I learn something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's learning something new in DaVinci Resolve, which I use for my video editing and all of that, I pick up something there, or whether that's furthering how to hone my YouTube, search so that I increase there, or whether I'm learning a new topic and writing an article. I do less writing now. I can get on the video, get more content, get video, audio, and text. Yay!
Yep.
So, so wonderful, and I so much appreciate what you do for the community, Matt, in helping others get insights into how they can become better, at marketing themselves for their own business, or marketing, whether they're an LGBT-owned business or the corporations and businesses wanting to reach that target audience. So you get the opportunity to stay on the cusp of all the social media and advertising methods out there. How fun.
It is what I enjoy. I think I'm going to do this till I retire.
Awesome.
Which would be
Well,
never.
well, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and taking time out of your week to chat with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Great to see you here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Matt. And thank you, everyone, for staying tuned and listening to us have a great conversation with Matt Skallerud. Be sure while you're here that since you've made it this far, go ahead and smash that a subscribe button, and be sure to click that bell to ensure that you're notified of all the upcoming episodes. If you would like to listen to this while on the go, exercising, laying by the beach, or vacuuming in your red 3-inch pumps, go ahead and follow us on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, and about 10 more podcasting apps. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Bye-bye.